Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football early Monday morning. Some more massive news for the Florida Gators coming out of the recruiting trail. Four-star linebacker Ty Jackson flipping his commitment from USC to Florida. This was a kid that Florida, always seemed to be the leader in the clubhouse with, and then Lincoln Riley and USC kind of came in late and ended up landing that commitment. I look at Ty Jackson, and the USC fans know this because we've talked a lot about Ty Jackson. There are two traits that I absolutely love about Ty Jackson. And it starts with probably the most important trait when you're talking about off ball linebackers, and that is, can you go find the football? Ty Jackson, over 100 tackles every single year since his freshman year at the high school level. You turn on the film and say, the nose for the football, the instincts in terms of fitting the run the right way, going sideline to sideline and finding the ball carrier. It doesn't get much better than what you have with Ty Jackson. I think, secondly, in a very important trait as we sit here in the modern era of college football, can you go be an athlete? You look at these off ball linebackers, they look so different than what they looked like 10 to 15 years ago. You got to be an athlete and you got to be a linebacker that can function in space, that can close the distance between yourself and the ball carrier at a high level. Ty Jackson is one of those guys. You look at going sideline to sideline. You look at go tackling running backs in the flag, carrying tight ends up the seam, all that stuff we talk about that, these off-ball linebackers need to do in the modern era. And Ty Jackson, with his athleticism, he has that in Trojan. Now, do you have to put a little bit more weight on Ty Jackson? Yeah, absolutely, right? Sitting there 6'1", 205. It is a rather slender frame. Know who he kind of reminds me of? Shamar James from a couple different classes or from a couple classes ago for Florida where, you looked at Shamar James and said he came into Florida around 210 pounds. We knew we'd have to put some weight on Shamar James, but Shamar James's athleticism was elite. I think you're kind of saying the same type of things about Ty Jackson. And you look at Florida, what they're doing on the recruiting trail. One, I think Florida sells itself. We talk about this all the time. And when this Florida program is rolling on the football field, it sells itself to these high school kids. And the fact that Florida just seems to be going in the right direction quickly, I think is one massive factor. But I think more importantly, we talked about this Saturday afternoon. Look at who are the contributors for Florida over the last couple of weeks. I mean, you're starting a true freshman quarterback in DJ Lagway, who looks to be all of what we thought he was going to be coming out of high school. You got a true freshman running back in Jaden Baugh, who looks like he's one of the better backs in the SEC. You got a ton of freshmen and sophomores that are playing on the defensive side of the football, highlighted by the off-ball linebacker room, guys like Miles Graham and Childs. I mean, if you are a high school kid, you're seeing Florida not only win massive football games against Ole Miss, against LSU, but you're seeing guys that might just be a year older than you playing a massive part in winning those football games. And that's the ultimate selling piece for some of these kids on the high school recruiting trail. You got to give, regardless of how you feel about Billy Napier. Now, I was certainly one that was calling for his job at points in the season. This program's ability to just kind of block out the outside noise and continue to play hard and just get better and better as 2024 has gone on. There might not be a program I got more respect for right now than what Florida is doing. Want to get into Ty Jackson, talk about what he brings to this Florida Gators defense. Now, before we get into it, as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and to the Florida Gator fans. It's been a busy last couple of weeks, not only talking this program on the football field, but also on the recruiting trail. Can't thank you guys enough for rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Much more importantly, it's going to be a busy next couple of weeks up until signing day. Without further ado, let's get to Ty Jackson. I think maybe one of the things that excites me the most is the amount of young talent that Florida is compiling in this off-ball linebacker room, coached by, Coach Roberts. I don't think there are many coaches that do a better job developing linebackers. And so it's a really good combination when you're getting a bunch of really good athletes getting coached by a position group coach that, and Coach Roberts, that I think is one of the best in the business. I look at this off-ball linebacker room for Florida over the next couple of years and say, it doesn't look like many programs are going to have a better off-ball linebacker room than what Florida has. And then you turn on the film, and I think what first kind of just jumps out at you is this kid just continues to find the football. And, the biggest concern you have is maybe the size. But then you turn on the film and say, like, you're not concerned about the physicality that this kid plays with because he attacks the line of scrimmage and he is extremely physical at the point of attack. I mean, very rarely is he getting moved back at the point of attack. This guy is always going forward. He's always being aggressive and plays with physicality that is much more than a 200-pound linebacker. You continue to work through the film. One, getting off blocks and working through traffic. You don't get over 350 career tackles at the high school ranks by accident. You got to be pretty good at picking through the trash. You got to be pretty good at getting off blocks and finding the football. Ty Jackson's elite at that. I mean, he always seems to be finding the football, always seems to be making plays for his high school team, little strip, take it the other way. Now, the next rep is probably one of the more exciting ones where this is just a really important trait for these off-ball backers, right? Do you have the ability to go sideline to sideline? Look at Ty Jackson. When he decides to get going to the sideline, it is very hard to get on the outside of him. And you're seeing a lot of teams try to get to stuff to the perimeter. You got to have off-ball linebackers that can go sideline to sideline. And Ty Jackson is one of those dudes. I think another aspect that he's really good at is that run and chase. I love this, getting off a block and then just being physical. I mean, he really has a good sense of how he wants to tackle as well. Playing in space, playing downhill. I just always seems to be winning at the contact point, which I think is really important. Really good instincts. I mean, these reps are kind of the stuff that you can't teach, like timing up the snap and then just working that A gap. Guard just has no chance of getting over to pick you up, and then go backside, creating a tackle for a loss. Love what he does attacking the line of scrimmage. Love what he can do in space. This is a linebacker that to me checks a lot of boxes that you're looking for. And then again, run and chase. I love it. I mean, this is a guy that could be really good in that quarterback spy run and chase situation because of that speed and that ability to work through the traffic. Ty Jackson to me checks off a lot of boxes that you're looking for if you're a Florida fan. And I will say this, Miles Johnson, 6'1", 220, from Alabama. He's another one that I really like. Flip from Alabama, he was committed to Alabama, flipped to Florida. I mean, Miles Johnson is one of those guys that 6'1", 220 runs an 11-1 in the 100-meter dash. It's no secret what kind of linebackers that Florida is going for in this 2025 class. We want the athletes. And you scroll up and say, it was just maybe 3 weeks ago where Florida had a recruiting class that was outside of the top 50, and guys were going after Ben Hinks and teams were going after Vernell Brown, and you were wondering how many recruits or how many commitments Florida would even have in the 2025 class. And now, with a little less than 2 weeks until signing day, the narrative has switched for Florida. Their commits were getting hunted by other teams, and now Florida's going out and they're being the hunter and they're going after guys from other recruiting classes. And from what it sounds like, Florida's nowhere near done on the recruiting trail. And so we'll see how it plays out for Florida, but another massive commitment from one of the best backers in the country in Ty Jackson, going to a position group that is going to be loaded for the next couple of years. We'll pause there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.